In this video, we're going to be taking a look at 3 of the hottest smartwatches on the market today. We've got the Fitbit Versa 3, we've got the Amazfit T-Rex Pro, and we have got the Ticwatch Pro 3. It's going to be a showdown. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, my name is Jeff, and on this channel I do all sorts of different tech reviews, tips, tutorials, and more, including reviewing smartwatches, and I've reviewed a ton of smartwatches on this channel. I'm going to be going through like a bird's eye view of all the different features and specs of these smartwatches. My recommendation for you is after you're done watching this video, if there's one or maybe 2 of these smartwatches that you're most interested in, go and check out the links down in the description below, because I've done full in-depth review videos that go more in depth on a lot of these features, and you can check those out. You can also check out the product pages linked down below for current pricing as well as more current information about each one of these watches. So now let's jump into our review. So let's start off with the Fitbit Versa 3, and the Fitbit Versa 3 is going to be priced at $230. As far as color options, you get 5 different color options. You get black, you get midnight blue, pink clay, thistle purple, and olive green. Let's jump into the T-Rex Pro. This is going to be priced at $179. You get 3 different color options. You get meteorite black, steel blue, and desert gray. And then the Ticwatch Pro 3 is going to be our most expensive of the 3 watches, being priced at $299. You only get 1 color with this watch, and it's going to come in black. So let's take a look at these 3 watches side by side. The beefiest of these 3 is going to be the T-Rex Pro. However, the Ticwatch Pro 3 is also just about the same size. If we put them together and kind of look at the thickness of them and how big of a footprint they're going to have, they are definitely much bigger than the Versa 3. Let's talk about the build quality of these 3 watches. So we have the Fitbit Versa 3 starting off. It has a 1.58-inch AMOLED screen. The body build is actually an aluminum base. And as I turn it over, you'll be able to see the sensor layout that's on the back. The watch itself has a built-in altimeter, as well as a built-in microphone and speaker. And it is water resistant down to 50 meters. Next, we have the T-Rex Pro, which features a 1.3-inch AMOLED screen. This has a plastic build instead of an aluminum build, so it is actually just a little bit lighter. I'm not sure if the plastic makes it feel a little bit cheaper or not, but it's supposed to be more of a rugged watch. It does have a barometric altimeter in it, and there is no microphone, there is no speaker. I want to show you the back with the sensor layout. The back is also plastic. And then as far as water resistance, this is water resistant up to 100 ATM or 100 meters. And then we have the Ticwatch Pro 3. It features a 1.4-inch Retina AMOLED screen, as you can see. And the really cool thing about this watch is when it times out, it actually turns off the AMOLED screen, and now you can see the LCD screen much fainter, but it helps save on battery life. It kicks into that screen. So this watch actually features 2 different screens on it, which I thought was pretty cool. It has a stainless steel base. So when you're looking at it, this is the most classic watch out of the 3. As far as its look, it also has quite a bit more size to it. It has a stainless steel build. It does have a plastic backing, and you can see the different sensors and layouts. This watch also features a microphone and speaker. It is IP68 waterproof rated, which means that it will withstand dust and dirt, and it's water resistant up to 1.5 meters. On Ticwatch's website, it does say you can take the watch swimming with you as well. And real quick, as we do in all the videos on this channel, we've hidden Tinker. He's our little hidden robot, and he's gonna briefly pop up somewhere during this video. He looks just like this guy on my shirt right here. If you are the first person to spot Tinker popping up somewhere in this video, let me know the timestamp or the amount of time into this video that you spotted him popping up. And if you're the first person to spot him in this video, we'll put your name on our Tinker Forward Hall of Fame page, as well as give you a shout out in one of our future videos, just like Alexander Chen, one of our recent viewers, to find Tinker in one of our recent videos. So let's talk about buttons, watch faces, the always on display, and timeout limits on our watches. We're going to start with the Fitbit Versa 3. As you can see, there are no physical buttons on this watch except for this haptic button that's on the side. And I suppose that helps with waterproofing the watch. By pressing that, you'll see that it'll turn the watch on and off. This is actually the always on display mode for this watch face. You're either a fan of the haptic button or you're not. Sometimes it seems I have to press harder than others in order for it to do things, and sometimes it doesn't seem as responsive as I would like. Going into the clocks area on the Versa 3 allows you to access watch faces that you have downloaded from the Fitbit app, and you can choose from a whole bunch of them, including this SpO2 one, which you'll need if you want your blood oxygen level reading. You find the one you want, and then you can just select it. I like that it's all full color, and even with the always on display, this particular watch face still is full color, which I like. The Fitbit watch face store area has hundreds of watch faces to choose from, with more being added every day. With the timeout, you can actually choose to keep the screen on the Versa 3 for up to 60 seconds, the longest timeout of any of the three watches. Granted, the longer you keep your screen on, the more that's going to deplete the battery. Let's take a look at the T-Rex Pro. So the T-Rex Pro has 4 physical buttons on it. What's nice is you can use the buttons to do just about everything. So if your hands are sweaty or wet and you don't want to touch the screen, you can use the buttons to do the same thing. Up and down, and then select and back are the buttons, and that's kind of nice because you can move through the menus as well. So with the watch faces, this particular watch, same thing, if you hold down the screen, will allow you to switch watch faces. Here's another example of one of the watch faces. You're a little bit more limited in selection. The T-Rex Pro only has about 30 different watch faces available in the Zepp app to choose from, so not the hundreds that you would typically get with Fitbit. The screens, when they time out, do also have a color always on display. And as far as timeout settings on this watch, the longest that you can set the screen to stay on is going to be 30 seconds. Here is an example of the always on display, so you can see what it looks like when the watch times out. And last, let's talk about the Ticwatch Pro 3, which features 2 physical buttons, which are stainless steel on the side, and by tapping into those, that brings you into the different menus. You can use the buttons in addition to the touch screen. As far as watch faces, if you go ahead and long hold on the screen, that's going to show you different watch faces you have available, and then you can go ahead, find one that you really like, and then go ahead and select it. Because it's running Wear OS, you get hundreds of different watch faces to choose from. With the Ticwatch Pro 3, the timeout settings, it also does allow for the always on display, but the timeout settings are only good for up to 15 seconds before the watch actually times out, which I wish it was a little bit more than that. And I do want to show you an example here of the always on display. So when the watch times out, if you've got the always on, you're going to get a readout like this. All 3 of these watches feature some sort of a magnetic charging cable. This is going to be the Fitbit Versa 3. The T-Rex Pro is going to have this one here, has about a foot, 2 feet worth of charging cable, and then the Ticwatch Pro 3 also has the magnetic backing like that, and then your charging cable as well. So in my testing of charging up these 3 watches, it takes about 60 minutes to fully charge the Versa 3. 70 minutes to charge the T-Rex Pro, and then 90 minutes to fully charge the Ticwatch Pro 3. Let's take a look at the bands that each one of these watches comes with. Let's take a look at the Versa 3, and you'll notice this is the design of the wristband. The edge of this part of the band actually goes into this loop and seeds underneath it, resting on the bottom of the watch band and on the bottom of your wrist. And at first I thought it might be bothersome. Actually, it's fairly comfortable for me. I don't mind it. And as you can see, when you're wearing the watch, this is what it's going to look like. Now, in addition to that, Fitbit has their quick release band system. And you'll notice that there's this button that holds the two pieces of the band together. If you wanted to switch this band out with a larger band or maybe a different color, there are buttons that are on the bottom that you can just pop out and switch it out with a different band. So next, let's take a look at the T-Rex Pro. So these are the wristband screws that are on the T-Rex Pro. And you'll notice there's no quick, easy way to just release this band. If you want to change these out, get a different size or a different material color, there's no quick, easy way to do that. You will need a screwdriver set, and there are 2 screws, one on either side of the band, that you'll need to undo in order to change out these bands. So here's an example of how the wristband looks on the T-Rex Pro. Pretty traditional band where it's going to go through the clasp and then the edge sticks out on the side. I guess what's nice about the Versa 3 is they've eliminated this getting snagged on stuff by seating it underneath. And then we have the Ticwatch Pro 3, and this is how the band on this watch looks. Now, all the bands I've been showing you are the bands that come with the watches. This one almost looks like leather stitching, but it's actually silicone, and it's got a very nice feel to it. This clasp right here is actually also stainless steel metal, and then we've got the area here where it's holding on to the end of the band. So looking at these bands on the back, you have these little metal pins, and if you want to switch these out, these are 22mm bands. You can just press in on that metal pin and that releases both of these bands so you can switch it out. And I hope you're enjoying this video. If you're getting some value out of this, take a second right now, smash that like button. And let's find out here how many likes we can get. If you are liking the Fitbit Versa 3, be sure to hit that like button. If you're liking the Amazfit T-Rex Pro, I want you to smash that like button. And if you are liking the Ticwatch Pro 3, take a second and smash that like button on this video. It helps out this video as well as this channel. So the battery life, all of these smartwatches claim that they have a longer battery life than they actually do. So I want to be real with you guys in my testing. So the Versa 3 claims to have up to a 6-day battery life. For my average use, doing a couple of workouts a week as well as just regular use of the watch, I was getting a 4 days of battery life. With the T-Rex Pro, it claims that you will get up to 18 days battery life. With average use, you're going to get, or with high use, you're going to get 9 days. With my average use, again, using the GPS a little bit for a couple of workouts a week as well as regular use, I was getting 4 days, just getting over 3 days, usually recharging on that 4th day. And there's a battery saver mode that you can actually go into on the T-Rex Pro that will extend the life of the watch. It's only going to track your steps and show you the time if you put it into battery saver mode. But again, that's going to extend the life of the watch even more. And then on the Ticwatch Pro 3, it claims that you can get up to 45 days of battery life, which is insane. But with that 45 days, you'd be getting that battery if you put it into essential mode, and then you're getting a screen like you would see right now, which is just the LCD screen that turns off the AMOLED screen. If you're using it just average use, from my testing, I would usually, I usually do a workout about every other day using the GPS. On average, I was able to get just over 2 days of battery life before I'd need to charge. Usually the night of that second day, I'm either charging, or the next morning on that third day, I would be charging. So you're looking at 2 to 3 days of battery life from the Ticwatch Pro 3. Each one of these watches features exercise modes. They all have auto workout detection, so they can start tracking once the watches sense you moving if you have that feature enabled. The Versa 3 features 20 different exercises that you can choose from, and it's a wide range of different exercises. The T-Rex Pro is going to feature the most workout modes. This has 100+ workout modes, everything from running, pool swimming, indoor cycling, climbing, hiking. As you keep going through this, surfing, there's a lot of really unique exercises. If you go to more, it even has things like leisure sports. So you have hula hooping, shuttlecock kicking, tug of war, so all sorts of different ones. I'm not exactly sure how it tracks all of those, but definitely the most workout modes. And then on the Ticwatch Pro 3, you get 10 different workout modes. Running, cycling, pool swimming, rowing machine, everything down to yoga. So kind of limited on different exercises you can do, but as far as runs, walks, you can do all that with this watch. So the Versa 3 runs on the Fitbit operating system. It works with Fitbit's app that you install on your device. Here's an example of the dashboard, and you can see it shows you all of your health stats. It'll also show you tracking for all sorts of other things, such as sleep, your BPM, different health metrics. I really like the app. It's very user-friendly. Some of the things you would log manually, such as your water. It also gives you an area where you can manually log, like your temperature, things like that. So that's kind of nice. And then on the watch itself, you can install apps, and they can even be third-party apps, but they need to be available in the Fitbit store. There's a decent amount of apps available. I would say some examples here are going to be like Relax, which helps you with breathing. The exercise apps are all going to come loaded on there. Weather, you also get Coach, which coaches you through a lot of your exercises. Things like Spotify, Pandora for music, Starbucks if you want to pay with the watch. You can download games. Some of these are going to be free. Some of these are going to have a cost to them, maybe a couple of dollars. More games, toothbrushing reminders. You can turn the watch into a flashlight. So all sorts of different options. And again, I've gone more in depth on these apps in my review video, the Versa 3. So the T-Rex Pro has its own operating system. I'm going to say it's Amazfit's operating system. And it works with your device using the Zepp app. And here's the dashboard on that app. I think it displays all the information very nicely, keeps track of all your health stats, goes into your sleep tracking. There's an area up top here in the right that you can click on that goes into more detail about any one of the different types of data. So you can click into those and it's going to show you more details. So I do really like using the app. On the watch itself, it comes with pre-installed apps. So PAI, which is kind of your overall health exercise data that it collects, heart rate, SpO2, your workout records, stress tracking, activity goals, weather, alarms, compass, a barometer, different stopwatches, timers, controls for music, find your phone, and notifications. Aside from that, that's pretty much all the apps that you can put on this watch. You can't put any third-party apps on this watch, which I think is kind of a limiting factor. So you are pretty much stuck with the apps that the watch comes with. All the apps that are on here are very useful, but again, more limited than what you get on the Versa 3. And then we have the Ticwatch Pro 3, which is running Wear OS. It uses the Mobvoi app to give you all your health stats, tracking information. You can click, that's the dashboard, and then this will give you all your heart rate, steps, SpO2 tracking, stress, sleep. That's all recorded in the app, and that works in conjunction with the apps on the watch. On the Ticwatch Pro 3, since it's running Wear OS, you have access to the Google Play Store, and that just gives you the most options for apps available that you can download and put on the watch. You'll notice as I'm scrolling through these, it runs very smooth. This watch is running the Snapdragon 4100 chip, which just makes things run buttery smooth, which I've really enjoyed. You have all of your health tracking apps that are going to be on here, but then you can put apps on like iHeart Radio, Shazam. You can download different games. You can do things like voice memos, which you can then access in the app, which is very convenient In addition to that, you can access the weather, download different tools such as like turning the watch into a flashlight. It also comes with things like Google Translate, and you can download Google Maps for the watch, which makes it very useful to use in conjunction with maybe using Google Maps on your phone. You get updates turn by turn on the watch. So lots of apps, the most app options on the Ticwatch Pro 3, and I really like the resolution. I think the readout and using the apps on the watch is very easy, very useful. Something else that I found convenient is the hearing audio level app, which will measure the dBm in the area that you're in. So just lots and lots of useful apps that you can download to the watch to give you the most probably smartwatch experience out of these three watches. So health tracking with the sensors. All three of these watches will track your stress, your heart rate BPM. They'll do sleep tracking, as well as they will take your blood oxygen level and give you a readout. But what I want to let you know about the blood oxygen level reading is for the Versa 3, you can't just take an on-the-fly SpO2 reading. With the T-Rex Pro and the Ticwatch Pro 3, you can take an on-the-fly SpO2 reading. With the Versa 3, it's a little bit more cumbersome. You have to put the watch on, you have to wear it overnight while you sleep, so wearing it to bed, and then the next morning when you wake up, it will give you your blood oxygen level reading based on that last night's sleep. And then even after you wake up, it still takes about an hour before it'll actually give you the readout. You also have to install one of the watch faces that shows the SpO2 readout on it. So you can't just take an on-the-fly SpO2 reading with the Versa 3, and you have to make sure the clock face you have installed shows that readout. In addition to that, I said all of them will do like the sleep tracking. I wore all three of them to bed the same night, and as far as sleep tracking, I also made notes of when I went to bed. The Fitbit Versa 3 was the most accurate. Ticwatch Pro 3 was almost in line with the Fitbit Versa. The T-Rex Pro, it was weird with the sleep tracking. Some of the stats were a little bit off. It was still very accurate, but it just recorded that my time that I slept was actually about a half hour later, and waking up was about a half hour before when I actually woke up. So having the voice assistant where you can just press the watch and then talk to it, tell it different commands, and it'll work with some sort of voice assistant. With the Versa 3, you get the option of installing and using either Amazon Alexa or Google Assistant, and I've done a more in-depth review on all the things you can do with that on the Versa 3. The T-Rex Pro has no microphone, no speaker, and there's no Amazon, there's no Google Assistant, no voice assistant for you to work with. The Ticwatch Pro 3 comes with Google Assistant. So again, using the voice assistants, you can do things, hook it up to your smart home. You can give it commands if you've got some sort of a smart thermometer, smart lights, do all of that activation right from your watch. Let's talk about music on all three of these smartwatches. So the Fitbit Versa 3 only works as a remote for playing music. So in order to play music, you'll need to have music started up and playing on your phone. You can use services like Spotify, Deezer, or Pandora. They all have apps in the Fitbit store that you would have to download and then sync up to your watch. Unfortunately, there's no capabilities for like offline Spotify, and you do need premium services of all three of those music services that you have to pay a monthly fee for in order to sync them up and use the watch as a remote. You can't actually store any MP3s on this watch, and even though it has a built-in speaker, there's no way you can get music to play out of the watch. But you can hook up your Bluetooth headphones to your phone device that you're going to be using, say it's Spotify, and then use the Spotify app on the Versa 3 to control that music. Music on the T-Rex Pro. So again, you can use the T-Rex Pro as a remote to control your music. There's no built-in speakers on this watch. so you're not going to be able to play anything from it. You also can't store any music on this watch, but it does work as a really good remote. In addition to using it as a remote for services like Spotify, which you can do on the Versa 3, you can also connect up things like iHeart, Amazon Music, and once you start playing those on your phone, the remote pops up on the T-Rex Pro so that you can control pausing, playing, adjusting the volume and things like that. But again, you can't actually store any MP3 music you have on the watch. Your phone needs to be nearby in order for you to use the remote capabilities on the T-Rex Pro. And then we have the Ticwatch Pro 3, which you can also use as a remote for Spotify and Pandora. What's nice is you can also use it as a remote for things like streaming music from iHeart. Again, you do need to have your phone with you so that it's actually pulling that music from the phone or device that you have. But the Ticwatch Pro 3 does have the capability where you can download MP3s right to the watch, which I really like, and I have done a more in-depth video on how you can use all the different music capabilities on the Ticwatch Pro 3. Because of the built-in speaker, if you really want, you can load the music onto the watch and then play the music through the speakers on the Ticwatch Pro 3, which I think is pretty cool. That allows you to leave your phone at home and still listen to music. You can even connect Bluetooth headphones directly up to the watch, which is pretty neat. So let's talk about notifications and phone calls on all three of these watches. Starting with the Fitbit Versa 3, you can accept, you can decline phone calls right on this watch. You can actually hold an entire phone conversation after you've accepted it on the Versa 3 using the built-in speaker and headphones. I've shown examples of this in my review video. In addition to phone calls, it also gives you all the different notifications. If you just pull down from the top, this shows you like these are any incoming notifications that I have, emails, and you kind of get an idea here of about how much text you can see on the screen per email or per notification. As far as notifications, you can get everything from your emails, text messages, app notifications, and more, all on this device. If you are hooking this up to an Apple product, you won't be able to take those phone calls as well as respond to notifications. For Android devices like my Google Pixel 3, I can respond to notifications and even use quick replies, which is very convenient for text messages, even using the built-in microphone to record my voice, and then it translates it into text, and then use that for replying to text messages. So phone calls on the T-Rex Pro. You can't take any phone calls. Again, there's no built-in microphone or speaker. You can see if you do have an incoming call. It does give you the option whether you want to silence the call or decline it. But there's no way to actually take phone calls on the watch itself. As far as text notifications, if you swipe from the left, you'll see any app notifications like I do here. And if you want to go into more details, you can click right on them and see. But it is very limited in how much text you actually have. Unlike the Versa 3, you can't actually click any further into this text, whereas if you get emails and things like that on the Versa 3, there's actually a link right on the screen to take you into the email you were reading right on your phone, which I thought was very convenient. And then I just don't think there's as much room to show you as much text on these different bubbles of notifications. You can't respond to any of these, so any text messages or anything like that, it doesn't give you those options. You basically just get little pop-ups as you keep getting notifications during the day. And then we have the Ticwatch Pro 3, which allows you to take phone calls right from the watch using the built-in microphone and speaker. Notifications can be accessed by just swiping up. I do think the resolution on the Ticwatch Pro 3 is the best, and you do seem to get the clearest, crispest, most information as far as notifications. These are just examples of different emails that I've gotten from the watch. If you have text messages, again, you can use quick replies, or you can use the built-in microphone to translate your voice into text and use that to respond to text messages that you've gotten, which I think is really convenient. Again, if there's more information, you can click right into like an email, and it gives you a ton of just information from the email itself. So you do have the most options. I'm sure it's because of the Wear OS operating system for notifications and replies. Now again, if you've got an Apple product, an iPhone, if you connect it to this watch, you are not going to be able to respond to text messages as well as take phone calls on the watch. That's an Apple thing. They just don't like you doing that. But if you've got an Android device like my Google Pixel 3, all of that works fine. Both the Versa 3 and the Ticwatch Pro 3 offer some sort of NFC contactless payment option. The Versa 3 has the Fitbit wallet, and Google Pay is on the Ticwatch. And essentially what that allows you to do is store your credit card in the watch. So if you forget your wallet and you go to like a Starbucks and you want to pay, you can use the barcode that shows up on each one of the watches to pay without having to have your credit card with you. The T-Rex Pro does not have any type of NFC payment option. All three watches do feature a Find My Phone app, which is really convenient if you happen to lose your phone somewhere around the house. Maybe it fell on the couch or something like that. On all three of the watches, you can hit the Find My Phone app and it's going to sound the alarm on your phone so that you can find it. So which one of these smartwatches would I recommend for you? It all depends on your features. Each one of these watches has its strengths, its weaknesses. The Fitbit Versa 3 has definitely got great health tracking. I think apps like the Coach, the Relax app, all those things are focused on getting you healthier, and I think that is the strong point of the Versa 3. I also like the Fitbit ecosystem with their app and all the things going on in the Fitbit world. With the Amazfit T-Rex Pro, this is the most rugged of the three watches. The fact that it's water resistant down to 100 meters. It's got the multiple GPS systems that you can use to connect. So out of these three watches, they all have the GPS, but Amazfit will allow you options in the settings where you can choose the different GPS satellites to try and connect to, offering you the best GPS options. And then of course the fact that this is the cheapest or the most affordable out of these three watches. The Ticwatch Pro 3, also a great watch. However, I would say from a health tracking or a physical standpoint, this probably has the least amount of those features and workouts, things like that. This watch is going to give you the best app experience, the best smartwatch experience. So if you're leaning more in that area, you know, better readouts, more options, the built-in microphone speaker, which you also get on the Versa 3, but I think you get a lot more apps, a lot better app options on the Wear OS operating system. Even though Fitbit's operating system is good, I still think Wear OS is just a little bit better, and I think the Snapdragon 4100 chip also helps make this a really smooth and very useful watch. So I'm interested to know, what are your thoughts about these smartwatches? Which one is your favorite? What features are you most interested in? Let me know down in the comments section below. Hey, I appreciate you watching. If you want to check out some other awesome tech reviews, be sure to subscribe to this channel. Hit that little notification bell and you won't miss any of my future weekly videos. My name is Jeff. This is Tinker Ford. As always, I appreciate you watching. Be sure to make every day awesome, and I will see you in the next video.